With us today, we have Dr. Shalabh Gupta, MD, the CEO of Unicycive Therapeutics, NASDAQ-listed UNCY. Welcome to the studio, Dr. Gupta.
Thank you, Todd. Thank you for having me.
It's always a pleasure. And you're working on some pretty exciting programs, currently advancing two programs focused on kidney disorders. Why don't you share with the audience a little bit about those ongoing programs?
Absolutely. Our drugs are both for acute and chronic kidney diseases. Let me start with the lead program, Renazorb. Renazorb is a drug that is potentially indicated for treatment of hyperphosphatemia. It is a nanoparticle version of lanthanum carbonate that is already on the market. Our drug specifically is lanthanum dioxycarbonate. And more importantly, this drug allows the way a drug nanoparticle technology works. It allows the pill sizes to be smaller, and these pills can be swallowed as opposed to the previous version of lanthanum that requires patients to chew the tablets. Chronic kidney disease affects nearly 15% of U.S. population. It's a fairly large size market in terms of a potential application of the disease. But more specifically, the patients who need some type of a phosphate-lowering drug are the patients who are on dialysis. Nearly 500,000 patients every year are on dialysis. These patients have to be given something externally to lower their phosphate. Of the 500,000 patients or so that are on dialysis every year, 80% of them are on some sort of some form of phosphate-lowering treatment. And that makes it to be around 400,000 patients per year. And the currently available products or drugs that are on the market require patients to have three sets of challenges. Number one, either they require a large number of pills, which is pill burden, or they require patients to chew the pills, which is a problem, and the size of the pills are very large as well. Our drug potentially can offer an advantage in all three aspects. So number one, our drug can be given as a one pill with each meal. So that's the 3 pills 3 times a day. These pills can be swallowed as opposed to having to chew them, and they're relatively small in size, and that's a huge advantage for patients. This drug is currently going through pivotal bioequivalence study. Bioequivalence study should be completed very soon. Once we complete the bioequivalence study, that is the only clinical study that we need to run. We go to the FDA, have a discussion with them, and we file NDA. So that's our lead drug and lead drug program. Our second drug is for treatment of acute and chronic kidney diseases. It is a drug that is now going into phase 1 clinical trial. We anticipate starting phase 1 clinical trial early next year. In acute kidney injury, the current standard of care is only a supportive care because there is nothing that is approved to take care of patients with acute kidney injury. We believe there is a potential with our second drug to be able to address those patients.
Wow, it's a very important market you're addressing. Maybe just share a little with the audience. What are the side effects if phosphate levels get out of control? What could happen if a patient is having difficulty complying with their drug regimen?
So phosphate is, or hyperphosphatemia is one of those conditions that you can call silent killer. Just like high blood pressure doesn't kill you overnight. It's a disease that causes long-term side effect, mortality, morbidity. High phosphate combines with calcium, and the calcium combined with phosphate gets deposited into bones and also into the coronary artery disease or arteries throughout the body. So hyperphosphatemia causes mortality and morbidity because it combines with calcium, gets a deposition in blood vessel, and that deposition in blood vessel causes atherosclerosis, plaque. So patients who have hyperphosphatemia, they die from cardiac condition, cardiovascular mortality and morbidity. So that's a big problem for them. And if we do not control phosphate level with each increase in each milligram per deciliter increase in phosphate, serum phosphate, the mortality risk goes up and hospitalization risk goes up. So it's not just the death, but also patients have to be hospitalized for a much longer period of time.
Well, you know, this is a difficult lifestyle, as I can understand it. I've had some friends have to go through dialysis over the years, clients I've managed capital for, and it's demanding. So anything you could do, we really appreciate to help the lifestyle out. If it's, you know, stick to the pills, not have to taste something in your mouth that's not pleasant, that offers great excitement. And I understand your team's got huge experience at Genzyme with the top drug in the world right now. Can you go into that, the strength of the team, and maybe explain a little bit about that?
So from very early on, we believed in a philosophy that we don't have to big infrastructure. We can be small but mighty, and that's the key word for us. So we have around 10 people in the team. On our commercial side and the corporate strategy side, we have Dr. Masik, who's leading our as the EVP of corporate strategy. As you pointed out, he has been involved with two of the leading phosphate binders that are on the market. One was the Genzyme Strandwella Renagel. He led that franchise from early on and grew it to over $1 billion annual sales. Wow. And he was also involved with a drug that is also on the market. It's a drug originally sold by Keryx. The drug is called Auryxia. Then Auryxia merged with Akebia, so he was at both Keryx as well as Akebia. On R&D side, we have some of the folks who were part of multiple NDAs back-to-back filing and approval. There were a few NDAs that these folks were able to work together as a team and be able to file and get through the FDA approval. So we have a small team, but as I said, small but mighty, and that's the key for us, not to build a huge organization, but to still deliver on the results.
Very exciting. Well, getting through FDA clearance is never an easy task. It's always very capital intensive. So having a team that's familiar with the process, has some of the top drugs on the market, is certainly an advantage that we see. And I also am excited about sort of the trial. Well, I did want to get into your tech after that. We could, sure. But I'm excited that this is actually different than most of our biotech clients that come through the studio. They have to go through a phase 1, a phase 2, a phase 3. It's even more capital intensive and sure. potentially difficult. But it looks like you have something that's relatively safe. They're testing this on healthy patients, I understand?
So this particular regulatory pathway is called 505(b)(2) pathway, in which the way the system works is that we make a case to the FDA that our drug is similar to an approved drug. So the trial we are running is primarily to show bioequivalence. And the goal of this trial is that our drug is similar to something that's already approved or on the market. The drug that is approved and is on the market is a drug called Fosrenol. This drug has been approved globally, but starting from the US since 2004. Let me give you a chemical component of Fosrenol, which is lanthanum carbonate. So that's the drug that's been approved on the market since 2004. Our drug is a nanoparticle technology, but the version of our drug allows the lanthanum tablets to be smaller, and our drug is lanthanum dioxycarbonate. So as the name suggests, it's a version of lanthanum. Active moiety in this drug and the approved drug is lanthanum. Because of that, we run this bioequivalence study. This study is run in healthy volunteers. And what it does is that it gives you an opportunity to be able to get the drug on the market with labels similar to what is of an approved drug. So this is a simplified and more expeditious way to get to the market. It allows us to get this drug to the patients who need it.
Wow, that's exciting, because I know safety is so tantamount to the FDA, and they wouldn't let you put this into a healthy person or a volunteer if it didn't make sense and keep them safe. And about how many patients would you need to go through? And I know you were hoping for results this quarter, is that right?
Yes, absolutely. So this drug was originally tested in 32 healthy volunteers, healthy subjects, in increasing dose, and the primary goal was to look for safety. As a secondary outcome, we also saw that as you increase the dose of the drug, you see corresponding lowering in urine phosphate level. 32 subjects were tested, and this new trial that we are running, which is the bioequivalence trial, is the same number. 32 subjects are going to be on Fosrenol, 32 subjects are on Renazorb. Each of these arm of subjects, or 32 individuals, are given Renazorb for 3 days. We look for their urine phosphate, give them a time for washout. Then we give them same subjects, they get Fosrenol. Similarly, 32 subjects were started on Renazorb first, 3 days for Renazorb, washout, then give Fosrenol. So idea is it's called crossover study. Total 64, 32 in each arm, 3 days treatment, week-long washout time, and then another 3 days of treatment.
Wow. So that's pretty quick. And this is the pivotal trial, right?
That's right.
If this goes well, yeah. you very well could have a drug on the market within how long would that?
Within 12 to the approval time takes to the FDA, it is somewhere between 8 to 10 months. It varies from the time we file and what FDA has going on. But put together, this drug could be marketed within 12 to 18 months.
And generally, on the pivotal trial, if the results hit endpoints, this could be a major market opportunity. Is that a fair statement?
Absolutely. I mean, this is the only clinical study that FDA had asked us to run, and we met with FDA to align on that. So this is the only clinical part that we need to do. And our intention is to focus on getting the drug as quickly, as expeditiously, but as safely possible to the patients. So this is the only trial that we need to run, and we go meet with FDA next year for pre-NDA meetings.
With such an advantage, I mean, I was looking at the math on it. It's about almost 1/6 the volume of pills of the current standard of care, or the current leader in the market. Is that right?
Right. So what I can comment on is that our drug can be given 3 pills, and we have 3 different doses of strength. So there's a 500 milligram, 750 milligram, and 1,000 milligram tablet. On an average, and this is the approved drug, and this is what is on the label. This is based on the DailyMed NIH reference. On an average for Renvela, patients have to take 9 pills per day, and that becomes a challenge. And some of these patients, not all, but some of these patients have to go high, more like 12 pills per day, or as high as 15 pills per day. So that's a huge challenge.
Wow.
And these patients are already taking many other pills for other conditions. So the patients who have chronic kidney disease are on dialysis. They are taking pills for high blood pressure, diabetes, GERD, or other comorbidities. And there are quite a few that happen, unfortunately, for these patients.
Yeah, and I'd imagine there could be drug interactions at times. So right. Alleviating this pill burden could be a major impact on their lifestyle, right. Keep higher compliance, and prevent these potential deadly opportunities for failure. So, we really appreciate the work you're doing. That's exciting.
Thank you.
So assuming you get through this process, the data comes in line, right. You hit your endpoints towards the end of the year. What could potentially be the sales of the drug if it became a major player in the market? Yeah,
I will answer your question by giving you overall market opportunity, and just so that you can do. I always tell investors can do their own math. Given where we are trading at the moment, it doesn't reflect what the potential is. In the United States, the phosphate binder drugs sold for last 2 years ago or 2+ years ago were around $1.25 billion sales, and unfortunately, this market size continues to grow because patients who are on dialysis are the last stage of chronic kidney disease. There is a continuous increase in chronic kidney disease, and similarly, the patients who are on dialysis. So $1.25 billion market, I think you can do the math. Any percentage of market share, will lead to X number of lives that we can affect. If I take a number of patients, there are 500,000 patients, and if we can address even 50,000 of 100,000 of these patients, it is a big commercial opportunity, but there's also an opportunity for us to be able to affect patients' life. And I think in the dialysis world, these patients go to dialysis centers, so they are potential partners to work with them. And we believe all of us on the healthcare system side, we all want to see patients' life being better. And that not only it makes their life better, but also reduces the cost of burden for healthcare system.
No question. And have you thought about the commercialization strategy, assuming positive results?
We think there are 3 potential possible options, and as we get closer to approval and launch, we can talk more specifically about them. But the one option is that a biopharma company that has a presence in with the nephrologists, they may have a call point. They're calling nephrologists. They're having their sales rep to have a drug like Renazorb makes sense. They're a potential partner. The second set of options exists with a large dialysis organization called LDOs, and there are dialysis companies that have an interest in bringing down the cost of care and improving the quality of care for these patients. They are potential partners. And the third one is that the nephrology is a more condensed physician market. You can have a few smaller sales reps, and you can still address over 50% of these phosphate prescribers who are throughout the country. So there is an option. We don't intend to hire our own sales rep internally, but we can do what is called contract commercial organization, or CCO, way to be able to launch the drug. And we're looking at these three options concurrently without tying ourselves down into one box saying that this is the only way to move forward.
Great, great. And I imagine you wouldn't be opposed to working with a big pharma player if the price was right, of course.
We talk to everybody. The company was built on the basis that together we can be better. It doesn't have to be that we are the only company to launch this. We want to work with an organization that have a similar interest and similar end goals. We are very open to that.
Excellent. Sounds like an amazing value proposition. Maybe you could put some depth on that. Why would the potential shareholders out there that watch for RedChip and look for these types of opportunities, why would they want to join you today in this journey?
So as you pointed out, drug development, it depends on the risk and reward. And the goal is that until the drug gets approved, there is a level of risk. What we think about the risk every day is to how we can eliminate or minimize the risk. So number one, we are completing the enrollment in the clinical trial before the end of the year, which we said before, so that's a pivotal study. Number two, we will have a readout before the end of the year on Renazorb, so that's number two. And number three, the second drug, which we talked briefly about, is a drug for potential treatment for acute and chronic kidney disease. We believe we can start the trial, and we are in the process of filing regulatory approval to start the phase 1 clinical trial for the second drug. These are three key milestones. The ones that we mentioned in past, in May press release, we said we are looking to partner Renazorb, not just in a focus on the US market, but also outside US. We did a deal in China and Hong Kong with Lee's Pharmaceuticals. That is already announced, but we are looking at being able to close other deals in very near term outside US, because chronic kidney disease and hyperphosphatemia is a global market. So there are ways to be able to, it does two things, which I think it's important to share. Number one, each of these partnership deals bring in additional cash. And number two, it also helps us to be able to address the global patient population, which we may not be able to do on our own as a small company based out of US.
Very exciting. I mean, this is not a long time to wait at all for a potential major milestone to be overcome. So we're anxiously awaiting results along by your side, your team, and thank you again for joining us in the studio today. This is a great effort you're making to try to help improve patient lives.
Thank you very much, Todd. Thank you for having me.
No,
Thank you.